What's up, Rockstars? Today I have a huge news video for you. There is Dune, there is controversy, there's brand new offerings. I'm going to be showing you more new stuff in this video than I have in a long time. There's some updates, some long-standing things with Blacklist Games and how you can get your stuff. We're going to be talking about all of it right now. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. If you appreciate the videos I make every single week for you guys, and you can give even $1 a month, there's a link down in the description below. Thank you so very much. Also, yeah, that's right, Into the AM. They're awesome. You know it. I know it. 10% code down in linked below, either in the pinned comment or in the description. That works on everything on their site. They have some amazing stuff. Let's look at it real quick. Here's some of their new stuff. Fantastic fit, fantastic feel. It doesn't wear at all. It doesn't fade. It's glorious. They have this Unholy Grail tee, which looks freaking sweet. This is the one I'm wearing right now. Also awesome. The Cyber Cafe tee looks stellar. They also have their hoodies in. You know it's going to be quality. You know it's going to fit great. It's going to feel great. It's going to keep you warm. Winter is coming. It's probably a little too late for that kind of meme, but they got light cycles. Guys, it is great stuff. Go and check them out in the description below. There is that 10% code, of course. And with that, let's dive right in with Dune. Yes, this is a preview page because I have to record before you see it. This is not live. However, I will be having a follow-up video very shortly where I'm going to dive into the campaign, what they're offering, what the deals are, what their stretch goals, things are they're doing daily, they're doing not. Either way, by the time you see this, it is live. Everything I'm showing is linked in the description below, so feel free to check it out. You can pause the video, you can come back to it, you can open it up a new tab, you can do whatever you want. I got it all there for you laid out, so feel free. Control F, there's a ton of links. Control F is your friend. Hopefully you're somewhere on a device that can do a search because we're going over a lot of stuff. So let's keep on going. And again, I'll talk about this one more. There is a details video I have on this as well. Necromolds Call to Arms expansion reprint. This is actually doing quite well. 224,000. It is doing very well for a reprint, I feel. And that's because it just looks darn fun. Also, it's cheaper and cool because you get to play with like this Play-Doh kind of stuff. But they're kind of going one step above and beyond when it comes to all the stuff they have to offer. You can see that they actually do have like weapons and stuff you can stick onto them. When you attack, you're literally like stabbing swords in there. If you like smite them, you get a ring and you can like stamp it and then it like crushes them. But then that also leaves a little symbol because there's a little mold in there of like a, you know, like instead of replacing them with a token or something like that, you get to really interact with these things. And I think that's super cool. The art is very 80s Garbage Pail Kids is kind of how I would almost describe it. Not that it's gross per se, but that kind of style of art I feel is kind of present there. Very much an 80s, late 80s, early 90s vibe in my opinion, especially with the you know, the glowing and the colors and stuff like that. But guys, there's a ton of stuff. It looks pretty cool. You make your own minis. It's cheaper. What, like I said, here's the stamp thing. You can see that. There you go. You know that's fun. There's nothing better than doing that to your opponent. So anyway, feel free to check it out. They actually have, it's like 25 bucks for the monster thing. If you want the starter set, 60 bucks for pretty much all of the stuff there. But they have like if you're returning backer, they have stuff there as well. So again, feel free to check in the description below for a link to that. Rivet Wars Reloaded, not doing as well as I thought it would have, but it's also more expensive than I thought it would have been. So I think those go hand in hand. If I feel, oh wow, that's more expensive than I thought, and oh wow, I thought I would do better, I feel those are probably related because otherwise it's an established IP. People tend to like the original game, and this one actually I feel makes a lot of improvements. I like the tile modular thing where you can extend onto it. I really like slotting the people in. I think it's got some great ideas. It's just kind of pricey. So yeah, there is that. And this is last minute though. So if you do want to check it out, if you do want to look at the new faction that they have and stuff like that, again, link in the description below. Literally 47 hours of time recording. It's going to be like, check it out, guys. don't dilly dally. Spark Riders 3000. This one actually seems pretty darn cool to me. It kind of reminds me of a game. I can't even think of the name right now. And I couldn't before either, and I didn't want to like look it up too much because I didn't want to waste a whole bunch of time on it. But you're essentially it's a state management game. So what you're doing is you have all these guys on your ship, and then you're just trying to like put out the fires, right? Make sure everything's working and fixed. And so you're just managing the map, if that makes sense. And the map is your ship. However, there's some interesting things too. You're going to see a phone here. And that's because it's actually a voice activated phone thing. So you'll be able to talk to it like you would a computer, and it'll show you the different displays and what you need to do and deal with and stuff like that. That being said, it still has a fair amount of components. So it's not like they digitized everything, which seems nice too. It seems almost kind of like a nice, nifty little companion app. In my opinion, I think that seems pretty cool. So they do have that, and yeah, you're just going around. It does have standees for the base, but the base is also literally like $40. So if you want like the expansion, or if you want, for instance, the general pledge, which is probably what you want. So the commander pledge here is actually probably, I think, really what, yeah, because this is dice train stuff. This is the minis, guys. $80, and you get the proprietary box for free, which is more minis and more stuff there. But then you get minis for your characters, you get minis for the turrets, you get minis for like the laser stuff. So yeah, all of that is just more and more neoprene matte stuff like you keep adding to it. But anyway, looks like a pretty neat little game to me. And yeah, it's actually not that expensive, which is kind of nice. Following up, Horizon First Contact. Definitely struggling to fund. As you can see, they won at 75,000. They're at 3,000, and this has been up for at least a day, maybe even 2 days. It just really, really struggling. It's a tower defense game, essentially. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Sheol in look and vibe a little bit. But you have your little area in the middle, and you're just trying to kind of deal with guys, and you're drawing cards and doing that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering if that's actually the issue, is that thematically it looks super interesting, but gameplay-wise, I don't see what makes it super duper unique in that genre. I think they need to highlight that a bit better, and I think they would do better for that. Because I think the art and the style is super cool, and I think that helps it. SPARTA, Struggle for Greece. This is at 17,000. They wanted 9,000. They're already funded. They're already doing all their we're funded stuff, which is super cool. The thing I have with this is the time. So it is, again, one of these things where you have this big map and you're like sending out your people and they're gaining experience and leveling up and improving their skills and all that kind of stuff. Super cool. I dig that. But 1 to 2 players, 2 to 3 hours, that screams Star Wars Rebellion to me. And while I love Star Wars Rebellion, it has an IP attached, which does help. But it's hard to get that to the table. It's hard to do a 3+ typically hour game with just 2 people, if that makes sense. So just keep in mind if you would solo it or not, or if you do have a dedicated partner to play with, that would like really be okay sitting down for hours and playing this game. Just keep that in mind when you're backing it, that it is not a quick game for a 2-player. Dwarves Legendary Force, I've covered this before, so 7 days to go, so it's in the last week. 82 miniatures, they're mostly repeats. It's a fun little card game that you get to kind of place your towers around and fight monsters and stuff like that. Very family friendly, and I think it's meant to be complexity-wise family friendly as well. So if you want a neat little game that's actually fairly cheap for the amount of minis, because they're mostly repeats, which doesn't cost a whole lot, so that you and your kids, your family might enjoy, go ahead and check that out. Stormlight Premium Miniatures, almost 1.5 million. I guarantee it'll be over 1.5 million by the time this reaches you. It exploded because Stormlight Archives, Brandon Sanderson, he just just destroys these campaigns. This is actually done by Brotherwise Games, which have done a few other things, including, I think was it 8-Bit Dungeon? Is that what they called it? And then the Call to Adventure was big. Overlord is what I was thinking of. So they're actually doing these miniatures. So what's going on with this? It can get really expensive. It's not the cheapest minis you'll get, except the big painted ones are actually, I think, a pretty good deal. So what they're offering, let me see if there's a good, so you can see here, 6 minis, $30, right? That's okay. That's okay prices, but, for a Kickstarter and what we're used to, maybe not necessarily the best. They are 40 millimeters with sculpted bases, dynamic poses, multi-piece, obviously. I don't know. I've never seen Brotherwise Games make minis. I don't know how they'll come out. So render versus what you get in the box can sometimes be different, but 40 millimeters certainly helps. That's for sure. And they got a solid sculpt. So that's like, they got the grounds covered. Now they just need to nail the landing when it comes to detail, right? But they got that, and it gets cheaper and cheaper as you add more and more, of course. They have this giant one for plus everything else for 175. And then they have these painted ones. These painted ones are like 80 millimeters. So they're even larger. I think they do have a scale picture here. Yes. So like that big guy is 140. The painted ones are 80, and then that giant diorama is 300. So it very much stuff you would want to put perhaps on your on display. Even the minis, you can't really use them easily in like tabletop stuff because they're 40 millimeter. That's very, very large for something like D&D, right? So they'd be like these giant ogres or something walking around. But again, it looks cool, and people are digging. People are loving it. They have like 1,500 people, 1,658 people in the all-in at 475. So they're going to get that big honking, display, which will definitely look super cool. So yeah, I mean, it's not it's not the worst offer I've ever seen, and it looks very detailed. So, and then I think the painted ones actually are pretty good detail. I think you get one for like $15 for an 80 millimeter pre-painted one. Again, depends on how it's pre-painted, but if it's on the Tenaris area of like painted, I'd be fine with that. I think that looks great. Or even the Street Fighters too. That would have been fine. Idols of Torment. This is by Black Magic Craft. He is a YouTuber that has done amazing job. He's a super cool guy and does great videos. He actually partnered with Archon to be able to make this. So Archon Studio will be making the sprue if you want to do that. But you can also get 3D or STLs to 3D print everything you want to. You can even get PDF rules, or you can do that. There's no necessarily dedicated, you have to have this mini. So you can, kit bash your minis, do whatever. It's very much a hobby thing. What is it? It kind of reminds me of Eternal Judgment or the Judgment Eternal Champions, where you essentially have these like souls that are moving around and you can capture them. That should sound familiar. You also have these like essentially these dedicated totems that you have. Again, that should sound familiar, where they can be drawn to and stuff like that. There's a lot of other variety of stuff. One of the cool things you can do is add and remove and change terrain. So like he has this big terrain stuff and he can turn it, which means like the soul might be over here and he knows it's going to move this way, or he thinks it's going to move that way, whatever. So he can turn it to now suddenly it's away from his competitor and closer to him or something like that. So it looks like a very cool game, and it's definitely taking inspiration from games I've enjoyed. Like Eternal Champions was awesome. So definitely kind of interested to see how that really plays. And the initiative tokens that you get are neat as well, and determining who goes when. I think that's also very cool. The Radiance Adventure Engine. This makes any rule set for tabletop, so D20, 5e, whatever, and makes it soloable. Essentially, you essentially get cards to like craft a story, and then you react to that story, and it comes with a bunch of stuff. It seems neat for sure. I don't know how long you can really stretch that when it comes to stories, because at the end of the day, it is. I mean, I think a lot of what people play aren't for the mechanics of the D&D thing, but really for the story, for the interaction, where you're talking to the barmaid, and this one's snotty, whereas you might play another session and this one's really nice and it gives you all the information and she's actually working. I mean, you can do all of that stuff with a true game master. So to me, that's the appeal of tabletop. But if you just enjoy kind of a very RPG heavy but contained thing, then you can do it this way as well. So kind of interesting. AdapTableTop LED. This is something I wish was a little bit more robust, and I always feel that way. Warhammer is such a limiting factor on so many things when it comes to tabletop services for me and what I'm willing to invest in. That being said, they do get pretty big. So what this is, and I'll get to some weirdness in here in a bit, is it's just the stand, right, where it stands on top, but now they have like LEDs and you control the LEDs and do whatever. They also have, as you can see, attachments just like a game table. So you can have a cup holder, you can have a phone charger with a phone holder or a bits thing and all that kind of stuff. That's cool. I do dig that. I think that's smart that you have that. Now, I do always worry about reaching down for like that card and knocking it and then knocking everything. So I do worry about the practicality. I know it looks good in pictures, but I am clumsy. Just the other day, I was like, I moved and I almost knocked over my whole soda over everything. Like it happens, right? So I do worry about bumping into it. That being said, it comes in a variety of sizes too, which looks cool. And I think that's pretty neat. The sizes, by the way, that's, again, the limiting factor for me. The War Game Edition is 3x4, which is not, full scale 4x6 Warhammer that I would want. If it got to 4x6, I'd be actually very interested, because, 175 for that. So it'd be maybe 200 for that, but you get the LEDs, stuff like that. I mean, you often play table or Warhammer, or I guess wargaming, tabletop gaming, standing up. So the higher it is, often the better it is anyway. So propping it up might actually be kind of cool. And they can keep your cards down below. I would love that. If they could get 4x6, contact me. Let me know. Maybe I missed it, because that would actually be kind of interesting to me. But either way, definitely looks pretty neat. Now, the oddity around it is that they've done this before and they haven't delivered it yet. This is a second campaign before delivery of the first. It is a little nuanced. Essentially, with the rising costs, they had to cut and say, okay, no more orders because we're going to lose money then. So they've launched this now with the changes to where they can kind of resume orders through this other Kickstarter. And then it has all the add-ons and stuff like that. This is like for the LEDs and stuff. Like it even says here in the update. We remind you that this campaign is very important because it contains only Kickstarter exclusives such as the LED system, the choice of colors, the e-pad for the huge promotional discount that we keep as long as possible. So, yeah, I don't know exactly how that works. It's very weird. It's very weird. And they didn't communicate it very well. So there are some backers of the first one that are like kind of upset about this. But yeah, it looks like a cool product, so I'm down with that. Let's go to GameFound. KeyForge Winds of Exchange. This is almost at 500,000. I'm sure it will be here soon. 2,700 backers, right even. Look at that, right even. So people are loving it, which is great. I think that's awesome. People are definitely excited to get more of this, which is great. Kingdom Come Deliverance, the board game, that was delayed actually until the 19th. So literally just, I mean, it's still only a few days away. I will get a review out for you guys, like a proper review. I'm going to be playing that actually next. But yep, I actually had a little bit more time, so that's great. I can spend more time with the game, which is awesome. But anyway, that is coming here very soon. Next, we have Crystal Age. This is by Rivet Games. They did Sanctorum before. I covered that back when that was there. It was a very mature, dark, sci-fi kind of experience. This one looks actually very, very pretty. It says a fantasy board game for 1 to 4 players to control a powerful hero to defeat exotic creatures and acquire their abilities. Here is their website. Again, I'll link to all of this. It actually looks very pretty. The models look very neat. I really like that. The art looks awesome. I dig that. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to kind of see more about it for sure. I'll be kind of keeping an eye on it and let you guys know what I think. Next up, The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. Big announcement here is March 2023. That's when we get it. So, and there's more here. So again, you can read all this. They go into detail. Like there's a lot of text here. You can read about the quality of the components and what they're doing and all that. The one bummer for me about CTG in general is I've never really loved their art style. And it's of course subjective, but like to me that doesn't, like to me this looks better. This to me looks better than this. Maybe just personal preference, of course. I mean, art is subjective, but I've never been a huge fan of their art style. I think it's almost how it's colored more than almost anything else. It's just, I mean, the Too Many Bones has a weird gremlin thing going on, but even without that, just the texture and style of it, I think it's just not my jam, which is kind of unfortunate because I want the game I'm looking at for hours to be pretty, but I'm still super interested, and this will probably still be my first CTG game for sure. All right, next up we have Dante, The Invasion of Hell. We don't know too much about this. It's by Creative Game Studios. They did Chronicles of Drunagor. This is a very early preview of it where they're showing just one mini and then kind of talking about how they made and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see. They talk about branching story path and no two games will be alike and blah, 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 all that stuff. After playing some of Ragnarok, definitely actually interested because I think they did a good job with the branching stories there. Grim Dark Dungeon Master, Catacombs of the Necromancer. This one I don't think is going to explode, but I think it has actually a good chance of funding. So it has a lot of standees, but then you replace them with minis. The tiles, I think, look fairly boring and generic, but it's very much an old school style grim dark. And the grim dark isn't like super bloody or anything like that. It's just there's not really any happiness or joy or light that I can see. But you can see these are now minis, not standees, and they do have this big guy here. I think they need to work on the renders a little bit. While they got the gifts turning and all that's cool, I think the contrast and brightness can come up, maybe even a little bit of texture. Just like it's really hard to see the detail like on his chest, just based off the images. So that's, I think, the improvement I would suggest to them for that. Next up, Portland, Occupied Zone. What a doozy. So this one is about an actual news event that happened. It's very satirical for the most part, and I'm going to get to that. I actually have no issue with satire, political commentary, whatever you want to put in your thing that you're creating. I think that's by all means fine, whatever. Whether it's for something I believe in or something I don't believe in, or I mean, you do you. I think that's important to actually be able to be okay with is satirical content, political commentary in any kind of industry. I think it goes one step a little too far to get into the like super cringe or kind of, I don't know about that too much. And that is actually, you don't really see it. Like it's all just kind of here and again there, you know, she dives in dumpsters and stuff. It's again, very much like laying it in heavy on kind of what they think here. But you have all the different shops you can burn and whatnot and throw bricks or whatever. This one right here. Let me go ahead and maybe zoom in there so you can kind of really see the medic here. That is very on the nose. All these other characters are archetypes, are exaggerated examples of something. The medic here is like a one-to-one view of an actual person, pretty much. And I think that's probably a bit too on the nose for my taste to be super comfortable with. Otherwise, I mean, again, it's got like adult toys and weird random stuff you can get, you know, used needles, and it's ridiculous and over the top, and very cartoony, except for that one mini. And so that's what kind of maybe kind of step back and be like, oh, okay, let's calm down a little bit here. So yeah, let me know what you think on this. I would love to have a discussion with you about games like this. I think it's important to discuss games like this. So, and whether you agree or disagree on its subject matter or its attitude or anything like that, I think it's important to, you know, have these conversations. So please let me know in the comments below what you think, or discuss it with yourselves. I mean, you don't just have to have me respond. You can respond to others too. Let's figure out where the line is there and what we are more okay with than not. And anyway, it's a whole thing. That is for sure. All right, next up we have Escape from New York. This one is something I was super excited about because, you know, obviously it's the IP is super cool. It literally birthed Snake for me for Metal Gear Solid, so I really like that. However, I don't think the game looks super great. Like this does not, no part of this looks appealing to me. And that's a real big bummer. So you feel free to look through this, read through this. I'm not talking about the gameplay. I'm talking about the visual look of the game. This just does not look good to me, pretty much at all. So that I'm hoping it can update. I really am, because I would love to dive into this, but if it ends up looking like that, I will not be backing it. Temple of Horrors 2.0. The 2.0 is kind of funny. It's just the second time they're coming to GameFound here. They have a very nice thing right here where they talk about what's new, right? And so I think that's super great that they're kind of including, hey, here's what changed, here's what we did to improve things right off the bat. So they definitely have a chance. Cheaper entry, more stuff on offer. All that seems like good things to do for sure. Next up, Dead Reckoning. This is kind of funny. So if you come here, crazy high shipping. You will see an extremely high shipping cost until you complete the address for your delivery. This amount is a default that we use to indicate to people that we don't ship to their locations, intentionally set ridiculously high so nobody thinks it's real and will contact us if they try to continue. They should have maybe warned people about this, and also Switzerland is getting that too. So like, it just, they're having some issues. So as you can see right here, they have literally $1 million shipping charge, which is so bad. Just because people are like, what the heck? You know, so, I mean, yeah, we got to communicate with each other. Like this is a two-way street. We need to communicate with you, but you need to communicate back with us. Don't just throw in even the possibility of seeing $1 million in shipping and don't mention it. Like, mention it. Say, hey, by the way, we put in some ridiculously high stuff. Like, why was that not mentioned? I don't understand. How is it? It's not hard to, it was like a paragraph to explain it. Just do it when you launch the Pledge Manager, you know, explain to people. That's wild. Anyway, yeah, that was surprising for some people. Speaking of surprises, unmatched storage and accessories. You're going to see in the comments that there's a lot of people saying, refund, I want out. You know, hey, can we maybe do a group pledge? All that kind of stuff where people are just kind of like, nope, I'm out. $80 to ship 15 cards and a coin. condescending responses, you get it all the lovely passive aggressiveness, all the lovely upsetness, everything we would come to expect when it comes to shipping. What is the issue? Issue is a couple-fold. Let's go to shipping here. So it's very kind of confusing here. It really is. And it says here, this is chart is identical estimated to the original campaign. And I don't know how much they can. So Kickstarter locks the campaign. You cannot ever change that campaign page after it's funded. I don't know if GameFound has that option. So I don't know if this has been updated. I can't confirm that per se. However, it's still kind of confusing, right? So it says shipping is charged according to the following chart. This includes the base shipping charge depending on your region you're in, plus incremental shipping for each item in your order. What they're saying here with that plus this, and let me zoom in here a little bit. Oh, dear Lord. Okay, here we go. There is a base shipping of $20 no matter what. You could ship one coin and it's going to cost you $20. This was to help them logistically on their side. And I think that's terrible. Let me kind of explain that. First of all, that's not very obvious, especially anytime you're doing something different than other people. Anytime the industry expects one thing and you do another, that doesn't mean it's bad, right? In fact, that's how you get innovation. That's how you get improvements. That's how you have great ideas. But you have to communicate that better. This is not communicated well, saying, hey, this is different from every campaign you've ever backed before, probably. We're doing something different. Here's how. Like, that needs to be very well known, or you get this, where you get a whole bunch of people upset after a while, wanting a refund and having to deal with all those refunds. Speaking of which, if it was to save you time, and like logistics, now you're having to do all these refunds, which doesn't save you time or logistics. So it's just messy. It's gross. There's conversion fees and all sorts of other stuff. It wasn't handled well to begin with. But even as a concept, there needs to be a balance between making it easy enough for them to be able to run an efficient and clean campaign that's profitable. In other words, they need to not be inefficient, and a lot of SKUs will do that. A lot of different shipping stuff will do that. There's a lot of bad things that can happen when it comes to just dealing with running a campaign like this. You already have to distribute it across the entire world and make all of it and do all of that, but then to match it with everything and get all the shipping right and, not getting hosed on zones and all this other kind of stuff, it's a lot. So I understand the desire to make that lean and efficient. However, that should never come at the cost of making it less lean and efficient for the consumers. And charging $20 for a single coin is neither of those things. It's none of that. All it does is make people upset. So I think it's poor form. I don't think it's right. And additionally, I really, really doubt that it comes out even. You are either making a profit or you're not on that. I highly doubt it's exact, because what you're essentially doing, and I get that it will never be truly exact. I get that. But that is a gross, you don't even know how many people are in each one and, what the logistics are of that. And so by having this kind of base price and not knowing what people will buy, if a lot of people buy the single coin and ship it for $20, you've made profit. It did not cost you that much to ship. You made money on shipping. You sold and made for profit shipping. If, however, all they do is all ends and they hardly ever do that, then hopefully you're okay. But this invites an inflated amount to where you make money in shipping. And then you're trying to couple that with being more efficient, having less costs on the logistics side when it comes to picking and packing and all that stuff. For your shipping, you're double dipping. Not only are you now saving, but you're charging extra too. It's bad form. I don't like it. I think it's a bad idea. I appreciate the concept, and I don't think it came maliciously, but that's what you're doing. You're just going to be making a profit for anybody who doesn't get a refund on that, because it's not going to cost you that much to ship a coin. All right, next up, we're going to talk about hyperspace. We're going to talk about Petersen Games a little bit. This is a big thing that they kind of updated here earlier in September, where they said essentially, and this is important, for those who prefer a quick TLDR, well, let's do that. We're now running a skeleton crew, okay, and focused on delivering one Kickstarter at a time. Great. Here's our priority and estimated time of focus, not of delivery, not of completion, of focus. Just, hey, we're going to be focused Q3 on Cthulhu Wars. Does that mean it finishes? No, it might not. But we're going to be focused then. And then in Q4, we're going to be in hyperspace. What if Cthulhu Wars didn't finish? Like, I don't know. They even bold it, and I get that. And then they say here that they're focused on delivering one. But they're keying in on the fact that they're not promising deliveries. And it even says here, these are estimates of when we will focus on making progress on the Kickstarter, not when we will be shipping the Kickstarter. Dear Lord, what? Why? Why is this even an update? Why would you pitch it this way? Why would you talk about it this way? I understand wanting to be transparent, but that doesn't mean your communication has improved. Right? For instance, they are not saying we will focus on one game at a time until it's delivered. What they're saying is we'll focus on this game in this quarter, this game in this quarter, this game in this quarter, and then what? You repeat? Is it Q3 2023 you'll go back to Cthulhu Wars, and then Q4 2023 you'll go back to hyperspace because you didn't deliver it? How does that work? Just work on it and get it out the door. Don't keep cycling through them like that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's stuff like this that really kind of, I think, shows the inherent issue anyway when it comes to business practice over that. Now, I am no business expert by any means. Okay. However, that doesn't seem very practical to me. Just work on something and get it out the door. Focus on that. Focus on one. I appreciate that. I think that's great. Don't, in other words, vertical slices, right? Don't try to get everything to 80%. Get one thing to 100% and then move on to the next. Move that to 100%. But you're not saying that. You're saying almost the opposite. You're just saying, hey, we're not saying we're going to shit this at all. We're just saying we're going to be working on it. We're focused on it. It's too loosey-goosey. It seems like a bad idea. I don't understand it. And it's a bummer. I'm glad they're working on it. I'm glad they're trying, and I'm glad they're putting in some honest effort. I don't know. I struggle when I see stuff like that. We're going to get to positive. Don't worry about it. Okay. This is interesting. So Oathsworn is coming to Kickstarter again on October 19th. Okay. So it will be coming back, and it's going to be really, really big. However, they're asking for permission. Mythic Games did this once with Joan of Arc for their super duper exclusives or whatever that they had, where essentially they're like, hey, we have these like exclusives, but now we're like really popular and people love our stuff and we want to give it to more people. So can we like not make that exclusive? And they're asking for permission. Now, what's a little frustrating here is I specifically said this to them not to do that. I specifically said, like, I remember even saying this, and I say this to everybody that will listen to me. Don't paint your future self into a corner. Don't make promises on the assumption that you'll never make it big, that you'll never be the next Gloomhaven, that you'll never want to do more, right? If you say you will never see this IP again, then that means in the future, if for whatever reason it exploded and you want to make a movie about it, well, you said you would never do it now. Or a TV show integration, or a books, or whatever. Like, don't say stuff that binds you as a company and restrains you as a company. Oathsworn didn't sell well because it was Kickstarter exclusive. Oathsworn sold well because it's a great game and it looks awesome, and they were treating the customers right and showing respect and being in a great price point. And there was a lot of good things Shadowborn Games did with Oathsworn, and that's why it was a success. Not because it had a KSE symbol on it. There are some games I think that lean into that a bit, but they didn't FOMO the crap out of this at all. They didn't really even utilize it to its fullest potential there. So it just seems like such a waste that now they have to ask for permission and do this kind of awkwardness. My opinion, by the way, is by all means, print out however you can to get it to more people. I am not of the mindset that I care more about one gamer's potential profit for selling a board game secondhand to some chump that has to pay through the nose for it than to get more people experiencing awesome games. I almost quit board gaming. I almost left this industry when I first started getting into it because I got into Kickstarter. I'm like, oh, look at all this. And I saw all these old campaigns that I had missed because I wasn't even a board gamer. It wasn't that I just slacked off. I was like, nah, I don't want to. Okay, now I do. I had no idea it existed. And now I did. But because Kickstarter is a limited time thing, I wasn't able to get it again. This was before they did a lot of reprints too. So I just was out of luck. So what do? I go and I look. And guess what? Extreme prices. People are selling for triple what they paid. It was ridiculous. And I almost left because I really wanted those games. And I saw that there was no other way than to pay through the nose for somebody who just wants somebody to pay a whole bunch and make a profit on it. So if there's an option for new people coming in to be able to experience Oathsworn that did not miss Oathsworn for any fault of their own, or just needed to save up, or now have more money than they used to, I think it's great. And I think we should support other gamers, not just ourselves. So I'm all about it. If that means my Oathsworn is worth less, I don't care. I don't want to sell it. I want to play it. I want to enjoy it. I want to love it. That's what I want. I want it on the shelf and then on my table, not making me a couple $100. So that's my 2 cents on that. I always support doing that, which is why I say don't say it's going to be Kickstarter exclusive. Just say you have no plans. Just say like, oh, well, right now there's no plans. No plans to go to retail, no plans to do anything else like that. Right now, this is what you got. Just keep it at that. Then you don't have to do this kind of awkward thing where you got to ask and it's all awkward and weird. Moving on, Batman Gotham City Chronicles. I just wanted to show you some cool minis, some cool renders they were doing. They were showing the Batman Metal Robins. They look fantastic. This is going to be super cool. I'm so excited. I really am. This is a fun one. This is by CA Sculpts. He did Limbo Eternal War, the sculpts for that. He's a very good artist. Just wanted to give him a quick shout out that he now has his first resin miniature that he's selling on his own like this. 50, real dollars, but that's okay. It looks very, very pretty. I'll link down to that in the description below. And then we also have this unfortunateness too. What is this? This is the reviews for Trudvang Legends. And I mean, you get some 8s, you get some 9s, you get some 4s, you get some 3 7.5s. Alex from Board Game Co. /GameFound, he mentioned that it was I think a 3.5 out of 5 for him, which is a 7 out of 10 is kind of how he rated it. So it's just unfortunate that it took this long to get to us, and it's not like the Oathsworn, right, where it's like everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is actually a really good game. I mean, it's not a 10 out of 10 for everybody, and that's fine too, nothing is, but it is unfortunate that it's like even some of the people who tend to swing a little positive are giving it a 7. Just kind of a bummer that it just kind of flopped out. Very unfortunate. And then finally, Quartermaster Logistics. I wanted to update you guys on Blacklist Games and that situation there with their Fantasy Pledge 1 or Fantasy Series 1. They have now worked out to where you can play Quartermaster Logistics themselves to be able to get your game. So you will be able to get your game. They're still working on the fine tuning of that, but essentially you'll be able to pay them and then they ship it out to you. So at least you can get your game. That's great. Guys, that's it. That's all I had. Have a great rest of your day. If there's anything I missed or anything you want to discuss, down in the comments below. Thank you so much. Check out the sponsors, of course, as well. And with that, have a wonderful day. Take care.